Attention crew, attention crew. This is your captain speaking. After the briefing on today's Trekyards topic is complete, please report to your department heads for shore leave schedule and disembark accordingly. That is all. Oh, hello everyone. Commander Cockings and myself, Captain Foley, are back to give you your regular dose of Trekyards. Today,
What's that?
shore leave, Captain, first off the ship. Come on now.
I thought the captain stays with the ship.
That's a sinking ship. We are now a drinking ship. Sure.
Okay. Good
Anyway.
tease. Good tease.
Today we are looking at the K-7 Deep Space Station from Trouble with Tribbles. So let's get your briefing out of the way so you can take some much needed time off. We will be arriving at K-7 very shortly.
Very interesting information today. But as with a lot of things in Trekyards, there's conflicting information. Different sources. So we're going to give you what we found, and you can make your own decisions on it. But for the discrepancies, we must just say, but they are all just our opinion and do not necessarily reflect those of the United Federation of Planets, Starfleet, or any affiliates. Let's begin.
So, Deep Space Station K-7 was one of the 17 identical space stations scattered around the periphery of Federation space to serve as resupply and dry dock facilities in areas where there were no inhabited star systems. The standard K-type design consisted of 3 onboard modules labeled KA, KB, and KC. However, there were other variations that were seen which had modules replaced with dry dock facilities for larger spacecraft, or even additional storage or research facilities added that changed the configuration somewhat.
And I gotta say, that dry dock one does look pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I know the question you've all been asking, what does the K in K7 mean? Well, K simply means that it's not a military installation, but served as a hotel, trading port, and rest and recreation centres. Peaceful access is provided for all life forms for shore leave purpose. They have permanent staterooms, which are capable of accommodating 800 plus guests at a given time, in addition to the regular crew of around 250 people. This crew complement also varies, though, from what source you look at, but the 1976 blueprint have a complement of 86 officers and 712 crew. So once again, all depends on the size of the station and what source you believe.
Yeah, with a total diameter of around 815 meters and a height of 200 meters, it is also stated to be about the same size as a Constitution-class ship, but with more internal capacity. This is where some of the contradictions kind of come into play. Some sources state the number of decks to be 30, another 35, and yet another showing 50 decks in total. I'm kind of inclined to believe the 1976 blueprints, however, so we will go with the 35 deck figure for now, as it seems the most plausible.
Well, I mean,
That, of course,
maybe those last few decks are just secret decks hidden at the bottom.
could be. You never know. Secret military installations.
I mean, we know the Enterprise, a refit has lots of hidden decks on the turbolift shaft, so maybe they're just...
And if you look on the 1976 blueprints that we're talking about, you get to deck 35, and then below that, which I state here, they're the cargo compartments, so the cargo decks, and the flight deck at the very bottom that has a height of 8.5 meters aren't included in the decks.
Oh, there you go.
So if you break those up, I can see those other numbers being accurate. So
the defences consist of standard shield systems and light monotanium hull with a low-level structural integrity field. Now, go over some more conflicting information, but some sources say that because it was not a military installation, it had no armaments, which seems a bit silly. However, other sources say that it had 4 standard phaser banks. I've got to say that we both agree with the 4 standard phaser banks because, well, at a minimum, this is what you need, because not only are you near to the neutral zone, but also it's stupid to not have any form of offensive or even defensive weaponry to help protect yourself. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I think 4 works well.
Yeah. The station had 6 regular 6-person transporters, 5 22-person emergency transporters for evacuating personnel from any damaged or crippled ships that may require assistance, or a crew that really needs shore leave really badly, 3 large cargo transporters, and a 2-person personal transporter located in the station manager's office.
Now, while the station itself wasn't capable of independent movement, it did have altitude and attitude controls to control the orbit or adjustment of its rotation and thing.
K-7 was located in the Beta Quadrant. Now, that's the same quadrant as Donatu 5 and Sherman's Planet. This seems like another reason that onboard weapons made sense, seeing as the nearest Klingon outpost was a mere 3.26 light years away.
Wow, that's very close. That's next door, pretty much.
Close enough to smell them. Just an interesting fact, though, this makes the station about 200 light years from Bajor and Deep Space Nine.
So obviously it's a recreational station, but it actually consists mainly of storage areas and industrial fabrication facilities, but also contain medical, research and scientific labs, as well as having a docking and hangar bay. In 2268, the year of the Tribble infestation, we can see a Type F shuttle and Cyrano Jones's vessel clearly in the hangar bay, which is a really nice little detail if you zoom in.
Ah, yes, the terrible, terrible infestation of 2268.
And then the Tribble hunts later on, yeah.
Yes. The station also had many recreational areas, including bars, coffee shops, snack bars, a library, theater, lounge, sun deck, amusement arcade, a casino, and even a large natural park area.
So do you think in the arcade it had one of those, hook machines, and you'd pick up toys for kids?
Probably. They probably ended up shoving a bunch of tribbles in there.
So K-7 was constructed sometime prior to 2230, but by the late 2250s, which is when we saw it, it had already fallen into disrepair and hadn't been upgraded or refitted in 2 decades. It eventually slowly got upgraded, but was always behind the times because no one considered it a priority despite its location. So a century later, however being severely outdated, it was used for peace talks between the Klingons, Gorn and Nausicaans in the year 2391.
And in Star Trek Online in 2409, the station is still seeing active service and was moved to orbit Sherman's planet due to security reasons. In this post Nemesis era, the station manager was Commander Naomi Wildman.
I recognise that name.
And also serving on board is Lieutenant Commander Ichep, both of Voyager fame.
Yeah.
While the station has had some improvements, it still remains an outdated outpost, yet important due to its location not far from the Klingon border.
Yeah. So, onto behind the scenes, guys. This station was obviously designed by the definitive Matt Jeffries. The original design was intended to have an outer ring with a habitation module located in the centre, which is similar to what we see in DS9 later on.
K-7's final design was influenced heavily by Gene Roddenberry and was actually based on a concept model for a real-life space station or moon-based concept proposed by Douglas Aircraft as early as 1960 for NASA.
And Jeffries sold off his original design sketches as Lot 144 with an estimated US price of $200 to $300 in the Star Trek auction on December 12th, 2001, in order to raise funds for the Moon Picture and Television Fund.
The original studio model built for TOS has been missing for decades, either thought to be lost or destroyed, or stolen. In 1996, however, with the help of Doug Drexler and Mike Okuda, another model was built by Greg Geen for the Deep Space Nine episode Trials and Tribulations. The last time this model was seen was over at ImageG Studios, where the motion control had been recorded for the episode. Much like its predecessor, though, this model too has not been seen since.
The curse of K7, this is what I'm hearing.
Exactly.
And then yet another model was created, but this time in CGI, was created in 2006 for the TOS Remastered edition of Troubles with Tribbles. But 2 years prior to this, Drexler created a CGI version of the station under the name of Max Wren for the James Crawley fan film production Star Trek New Voyages, now known as Phase 2. Although never used in the show, it's seen later in the Ships of the Line calendar and book.
Cool. So let's move on to the discussion part of the show now. Honestly, I never really liked this design when I was younger, although it did grow on me over the years. It was cool that while doing research for this episode, I learned that it was based on an actual space station or moon-based concept being considered by NASA. So that definitely upped the cool factor for me. Also learning that there was a complete natural park, casino, etc.
Coffee shop.
Yeah, probably a pool and a bowling alley too. Was very cool to learn, as you never get to see those things on screen. It just seems so small and confined from what we saw in the episodes. I know not everyone agrees with that those things are necessarily there, as blueprints and different blueprints and stuff have shown up over the years, and there's different variations on the design. But like what was mentioned earlier, I think that the blueprints from 1976 are my favorite, and I kind of choose to believe those. So
yeah, it's fair enough. And for me, K7 is a fun design. It's the iconic space station of TOS. And it's sort of this interesting combination of both the classic flying saucer design combined with Star Trek future thinking combined with real production, limitations. And I think somehow put those two together with Matt Jeffries, genius, you come up with something that's really interesting and I really enjoy. I love that it's a purely civilian station designed for trade and peaceful things. And as part of this episode, learning all the different things that were in it has been certainly an interesting learning experience. I mean, TOS coffee shops, how quaint, as Scotty would say. Although having walked throughout the 2409 Star Trek Online version, I gotta say I would preferred the classic touch, so it getting run down now. It's, yeah, TOS. I mean, come on, guys, 2409, they don't make food cubes as good as they did in the good old days.
Jello and marshmallows.
Or steak cube. But
I wonder if the coffee shops serve Ractigino, being that close to Klingon
no,
space.
they don't, because in the DS9 version, Odo, actually watches as research the episode, Odo orders a Ractigino, and the waitress says, "I've no idea what that is," and she says, "What is it? What is it?" And he says, "Klingon coffee." So
That's because he
no,
was in a bar. Maybe the coffee shop on the next level had Ractigino.
they just serve alcohol and Tarkanian tea. Interesting.
I don't really like the look of the 60s type design sometimes.
Yeah.
I know it's a product of its age that it was created in, but I've seen a few pictures where it's kind of been modernized to make look a bit like regular one modules in place of the older style, and that looks kind of neat. But that being said, there is something to be said for the simplistic look that the stations and ships from TOS have. And as mentioned earlier, the look of the station, it's growing on me more and more the more I see it. So that's one of the things I really enjoy about making Trekyards is the new appreciation I get for ships and stuff that I've kind of taken for granted over the years. But when I look into researching them and finding out more about them and seeing them more, they really start to grow on me and I can really appreciate them more. So, although it would have been kind of cool to see the ops station aboard this space station.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
I mean,
ops
we
center.
see the office, but no control center.
Yeah.
Would have been great. Yeah, so guys, obviously we've got to think about what we don't like, because there's always that thing. So the interiors, somewhat dated, although I do like them. Not necessarily advanced enough for a space station, though. What was that?
I didn't hear anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, the interiors, I agree. They don't really do it for me. Like I said, I would have liked to seen ops. I would have liked to seen some control facility, like
Yeah.
some kind of different part of the ship
I mean, I know
station. Sorry.
budgetary reasons we only get to see the bar and the office, but
Yeah.
and think about it, we don't really get to see any control panels. I'd love to have seen, what is a space. I mean, space stations are big, you know, vessels in essence. So what sort of controls would do? It'd be interesting. Should
Like
definitely have seen ops.
would they have looked like the same kind of computers as that were on the Constitution class? Because they're not military ships or
Yeah,
military bases. So
absolutely.
do they have Duotronic computers per se?
Because this isn't a Starfleet station; it's a Federation station, isn't it?
Yeah, it's civilian run
Yeah.
and
So
probably civilian constructed as well.
it might be completely different. That'd be great to see. Absolutely. But this is just a small point. I know, nitpick. I think the biggest thing. Now, I love the station, but the biggest thing I'd say is that we didn't see it enough. Once is not enough. I know we got to see it in the DS9 episode, which is great, and in Phase 2, but come on, this is a station on sort of the border between the Klingon, neutral zone and the Federation. This is a space that both the Klingons and the Starfleet officers can mingle, interact. At this point, the Klingons were the primary antagonists of a TOS, and imagine the stories you could have told to go back to K7 and any number of things. I think they really missed a beat by not having K7 be a story plot. But I know TOS was never a serial show; it was a one-off. But I think it would have been amazing to go back to K7 every 3 or 4 episodes. It would have been great.
That's a good idea. It would have been cool to see like maybe the next series should be a K7 TOS era, you know, on the space station kind of dynamic. I think that'd be cool because you see it in Deep Space Nine, how things are different when you're on a starbase because people are coming to you instead of you going out and exploring. But think about the TOS era and the political climate that was in with the Klingons to have those interactions between Federation and because anybody, like you said earlier, anybody could come peacefully and enjoy themselves on this station. There were no limitations. So
I think that's probably very similar to the S9 plot, but I can certainly imagine like a mini, a webisode, sort of not webisode, but a mini series, 6 episodes, about some plot at K7 or some big mission. I think the where it is in the time period has a lot that you could work with. Absolutely.
well, that's actually reminded me of the Vanguard series of books, which are the TOS era, but with the big, huge Vanguard space station, which we'll do a Trekyards on sometimes because it's awesome. But yeah, it's this whole series of books, and it's really, really well done, really well written. I have them all. I haven't read them all yet, but I'm getting there.
But yeah, like I said, I think just the least interesting thing is that we only got to see it once. I think they missed a beat there. But I mean, if I have to say a practical thing I don't like about the design, it would be that it's pretty much flying saucers. I think they should have put a bit more detail on them. Maybe some things
It's like
substantial.
one, yeah, it's like one step away from a pie plate. Pie,
Yeah, they should have had something substantial coming down from the bottom, maybe all the pods, just to give a bit more va-va-voom sort of thing.
Well, some of the variations that I mentioned earlier do have that, and of course we'll have the drawings and stuff beside us, right there, to show that. But yeah, there are some variations on it that are very interesting. I would have liked to see the dry dock version
Yeah,
on
oh,
screen.
absolutely. That would have been, I mean, go see K4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been cool. That would have been, actually, that would be incredible. Imagine an episode where the ship's in dry dock at the station or you're building a ship. I mean, that'd be really interesting. So,
Mhm.
yeah, no, I think K7's aesthetic is great and it's always fitted in the show for me. I think it's always been just for the iconic station. So it's great.
Well, crew, there you have it. Your K7 briefing is now complete, and just in time too, because we're just within transporter range now.
Oh, good.
Yep, hold on. So go see your department heads and get your shore leave assignments so you know when to report to the transporter room. Commander Cockings, you're going to be busy for a while because you're in charge of this whole schmozzle. You got the schedules. Just telling you.
So I don't get time off them.
You do, just not right away. I'm the first to go. Also, while you guys are over at the stations, be sure to relax and visit the library and amusement arcade to look up trekyards.com and see past episodes from your captain and commander as well.
And of course, go to the Trekyards bar, or the bar, I should say, and get Trekyards branded drinks. Trek Cola, Trekyards, so, I don't know, Trekyards Ale, whatever.
Oh man, yeah. And access Facebook and Twitter from any of the multiple computer stations available, so you can visit with us at Trekyards.
Space Facebook and Space Twitter, yeah.
Oh, before leaving your quarters, however, please click the like button and also the subscribe button so you can get your regular updates while you're off the ship. Anyways, crew, this is Captain Foley and Commander Cockings wishing you a safe and happy shore leave. Just remember, don't buy any tribbles. See you guys soon.
Stuart, I heard something tribbly sounding.
Well, I'm the captain. I'm allowed to have one
Mm-hmm.
or two. Just trust me, okay?
Bye, guys.
Bye.